All right. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. All right. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Neither Repented Day of Their Sorceries. And pretty much this is taken directly from the book of Revelation, chapter 9. And we're going to read that because I was watching this video here. This is Richie from Boston. USA 2025, America is over. Trump and Elon are here to destroy her. And pretty much, I linked this in the description box. And he goes into a lot of symbolisms and the reason why the elections were held indoors instead of outdoors like they normally do. He pretty much said that the weather is pretty much mainly the same as it usually is when they have the elections outside, or should I say the inauguration outside. Um, and I thought that was pretty interesting, but it wasn't the first time that that happened. But what was interesting is when Richie from Boston, which is at the beginning of this video, he pops in every once in a while. Um, he brought out a term for this place where Trump actually had, the inauguration ceremony, and it was called the apotheosis of Washington. And pretty much in that picture, in the center of it, you have a picture of George Washington surrounded by the so-called gods of the pantheon. All right, and he goes into it. He lets another individual speak on it and break it down. And it's funny because that individual that was breaking it down, speaking Latin and everything, he sounded like Abu, but I don't think it was because he put the all the videos that he mentioned and the information he mentioned, he put it in here in the description box. If you click on his description box, you'll see all of the videos and different things that he posted. But first thing that came to mind when I saw that was pretty much that when these devils go down, they're not going to repent of their evil deeds and the misuse of the people of the world and their wickedness. What they are going to try to do is they're going to want to rebuild, but they're not going to be able to. And that's why, I entitled it what I did, through the spirit. But before we get into that, I want to read this article that I was reading yesterday. It's from the Times of San Diego. It says, opinion worried about Joe Biden's age. Consider the Roman Emperor Claudius. And this was dated January 27, 2024, about a year ago. And you see a picture of Joe Biden and a bust of Claudius. And the interesting thing about Claudius, he was an older individual that took office at the age of 50. And that was, considered old back then. All right. And we'll read a little bit of this. It says, those who criticize President Biden as too old or slow or confused might learn something from the very similar treatment of the Roman Emperor Claudius. Now, what I'm getting from this is I believe they're probably trying to big up, Joe Biden in this article. But I just wanted to get some similarities or a particular thing that he did that Claudius Caesar did to individuals that weren't citizens. I just leave it at that. Claudius, who ruled from 41 to 54 CE, was the most effective and successful member of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, apart from Augustus. He was also the only emperor mocked as weak-willed and feeble, and you see that they do that to Biden. He's a Sleepy Joe and all that. All them clown jokes that they bring about him. Claudius grew up a sickly, unattractive child with a limp and a speech impediment, right? His own family teased him. So you can read through this. I just wanted to get straight to the point. Let's see. Right. Thus Claudius lived to take up the throne at age 50. His policies provided the Romans with much needed military and administrative reforms. He famously expanded citizenship to provincials. Now, you might wonder, what are provincials? Well, when you look up the word provincial, it's an inhabitant of a province, of a country, or empire. An inhabitant of the region outside the capital city of a country, especially when regarded as unsophisticated or narrow minded. So, pretty much, he just made citizens out of individuals from different provinces that weren't necessarily um, um, citizens of Rome. And pretty much it seems similar to what, Claudius did, or shall I say, it seems similar to what this guy Biden did, when he opened the borders to all these so-called, what they call them, illegal aliens to come into this country and pretty much become American citizens. I just thought that was interesting. That was just a little tidbit. So I put this in the description box in case you're interested. But nevertheless, or like Richie from Boston says, at any rate, um, let me start off with this scripture here in the book of Romans. I'm sorry, Revelation. Let me get rid of these tools to make it so the computer don't run so slow. So this is Revelation chapter 9. Now, when you read Revelation chapter 9, especially from around the 13th verse, actually 12th verse on down, this is speaking about World War III and the missiles that are going to be launched, because World War III is going to be the war to end all wars. And in this, uh, I guess you could say, this video, he spoke about Trump being the last president, and there was parts of his speech and different clips that he put where Trump told the Christians, you should vote for me, even if it's just this one time, and I promise you, you will never have to do it again. And several sources are saying that Trump would be the last president of the so-called United States. So, it remains to be seen. I mean, I could see that because, they got the right devil in office. While he took the inauguration, oh no, I'm sorry, the night before the inauguration, he gave a speech on the story about the serpent that was half frozen, and this old lady, nice old lady that picked him up, put him in a silk blanket, brought him home, put him by a fireplace, nurtured him back to life, thawed him out, fed him. And then when the snake started getting better, she went to give it a hug, and the snake bit her. And then, she said, "Why did you do that? You're venomous." And this is Trump reading the story. And he said, "Well, I was, she said, I nurtured you. I brought you back to health. I found you. I took you into my home. I fed you." And he said, "Well, I was a snake." Now in the movie Natural Born Killer, he said, "Bitch, I was a snake." The Gadite, the older Gadite man was speaking to the young Gadite, and he was telling them that story. While this guy, Woody Harrelson, who played the Natural Born Killer, in the movie Edomite, was plotting against them, and just pretty much him and the other chick were just taking people out. So it's very interesting that he would read something like that, and wants to get put in office. Oh, he also said, "You Christians vote for me. I promise you, you won't have to do it again." Then he said, "I'm not Christian." But like Richie brought out, like, why? And then are you selling the King James Bible with all that other extra crap in there, for $1,000, an autographed Bible, and people are buying it. So let's get into Revelation chapter 9. So this chapter here, from the 12th verse down, is speaking about World War III, and in particular, it's speaking about the weaponry that's going to be used to fight this final war. And the weapon that's going to be used to end this final war is what's going to bring about what the scriptures call the lake of fire. The lake of fire is not a place where you go and burn forever. The lake of fire is America being totally engulfed in flames from the nuclear missiles, from the lasers from the chariot, and from all of the natural resources, people included, animals, so on and so forth, that are going to be burning up here on the soils of America, Babylon the Great. All right. So those are the vehicles that the Lord, or the instruments that the Lord is going to use to take this place out. And it can't happen fast enough. So I'm just going to go straight to the point. Revelation 9:20. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues. What plagues? The plagues of the missiles. All right. Because when the Apostle John saw it, he compared it to a lake of fire, and he also compared it to a plague. A plague, once a plague starts spreading, it won't stop till it takes people out. So these missiles are not going to stop, because they are the direct military of the Lord, and the Lord, once they're shot, he's going to guide them to where they need to be. They have so-called trajectory, places where they want to hit. But if that's not on the agenda of the Most High, then guess what? It's not going to hit that particular, place. It's going to hit the place that the Lord is going to hit, make it hit, because His Spirit is going to be in the middle of those missiles. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So Isaiah 54:16, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. And Salaki, I can't see the comments that you brothers and few sisters are putting up. So Salaki for that. Because of this thing, won't let me log on. So Isaiah 54:16, behold, I have created the smith that blew off the coals in the fire. In ancient times, you had a smith that would be a metal worker, and he would be, banging metal and forming it into weaponry. And it wasn't just weaponry, but it was mostly weapons. It was horseshoes and different things that were used, for either cooking or whatever the case may be. But for the most part, it was weaponry. So you don't have any modern day smiths today as far as, metal workers, although you have metal workers, but the people that make the modern day weapons are the scientists, which are considered to be the modern day smiths. All right. And they put together, the technology that everyone knows today as being missiles, hypersonic missiles, ICBM missiles, so on and so forth, the modern warfare. It says, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And what is the instrument for his work? The missiles that are going to carry that fire from one part of the earth to the other. Now, back during the time of Sodom and Gomorrah and the other three cities, there was actual fire that infused together by the elements and came raining down upon those cities and destroyed them. So the Lord gave Esau that technology and the spirit to actually sit there and meticulously study this and actually put it into use till they finally got the answer or the desired effect of these missiles. And it didn't come overnight. It was painstaking, arduous. It was a arms race, because you had the Germans that actually were more advanced, because they are the wise men of Teman, and they actually had the technology going, and they were afraid, according to what they say, this guy Einstein was afraid that if they got the bomb, they would use it for nefarious reasons. So then the devil got it over here, the Americans. And by the way, Trump is German, okay, Baron D. Trump. It says, you can find that in that video also. It says, and I have created the waster to destroy. So what is the instrument is the missiles. The waster to destroy is the same thing, the missiles. And the way they're going to destroy is in 2 Peter 3, it says that the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So what thing is going to make the elements melt with fervent heat? Well, those nuclear missiles, which burn up to 1,000,000 degrees and possibly even more. Zechariah 14 and 12, and this shall be the plague, once again, another plague, wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem, right? Because the reason why the Lord is bringing this destruction and devastation is the judgment of Esau, the nations, for everything they've done, but mainly for putting their hands on the children of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and wherever the Israelites are scattered throughout the earth. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. And what would cause somebody's flesh to consume away while they stand upon their feet? That nuclear fire. You have like certain depictions of it when you watch the movie Terminator 2, Judgment Day. There's another movie, another great movie that has some really good scenes is the movie Knowing, which I haven't seen that movie in a while, so I may want to go back and revisit that. But the movie Knowing has, very good destruction scenes, but those are two of the main ones. I mean, there's others, but those are two of the main ones. Oh, the day after, the movie The Day After, that was a pretty good movie back then when it first came out because it was scary, but it wasn't really as detailed as Terminator 2 or Knowing. It says, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. So what's going to cause that? Intense heat. And that would be by way of the missiles, which is the military of the Most High. So when these things are dropped, when this plague is dropped, right, it's going to annihilate America, the land of Israel. And if the Lord has any other parts of the earth that may get hit, we'll see. But mainly we know that those two. And then from there, civilization, so to speak, is going to restart all over again, like a new Noah's Ark. But these devils, right, they have something known as their bunkers. And in these bunkers, they are hiding, because they know that this devastation is coming because they've planned it that way. But it's really the plans of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. See, they think they're running things, but it's the Most High that's guiding and directing them. And that's what makes it so interesting because they feel that they're in control, but they're not. They're only doing what the Lord wants them to do. All right. So it says, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands. Why? Because they will be in some place called bunkers. Now, anything in America, the scripture said there's not going to be anything remaining, no inhabitant. So they're not, even if they go in bunkers, they're going to be destroyed in those bunkers. The ones that are going to survive are the ones that go to different countries, different neutral countries that are not going to get hit. And they have their underground, bunkers with their amenities and all that stuff in it. Right. So here, I'm going to read this real quick and then we'll go back to Revelation 9. Revelation 6 and 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. So we're right now at the ending of the sixth seal, and the seventh seal is somewhat kind of sounding, but it's not sounding yet. You hear the rumor of it sounding. Because once the seventh seal is open, once the seventh trumpet is blown, that's the end. So the Lord said, in between the 6 and the 7, the elect will be delivered out of America, And, whoever else is part of the elect around the world, the Lord is going to deliver. But the main deliverance is going to be here on the soils of Babylon, the great America. It says, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. So why is that? It became black as sackcloth because of the smoke, the soot, the fire, the ashes that are going to be going up in this side of the world, which is going to blot out a part of the sun, the moon, and in this area here. And it says the moon became blood, same deal, a lot of death, destruction. They're not going to have answers. Men's hearts failing for fear for looking at the things that are coming upon the earth. And also seeing that the word moon popped up, there's a blood moon coming in on the day of the Passover, which is March 13th at evening. All right. So the 13th, March 13th at evening, that's the Passover, and then the no the also the first day of the first feast of first fruits. I'm sorry, the feast of unleavened bread, which is same as the Passover night. So Passover is also a feast of unleavened bread. That's just the first day of it, but the night is the Passover when Yahushai came and delivered the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. All right. It says, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth. What are the stars of heaven? These are the missiles that came flying down because they're going to be shot up in the air and then come down. It says, even as a fig tree casteth their untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven, once the missiles hit, they dropped, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And you see, if you type in mushroom clouds, you'll see where they've tested these missiles, and once they hit, the plume of smoke goes up, and then it starts to turn everything into itself, and it looks like like the heavens or the clouds and all that is being turned into like a scroll. When you scrolling, rolling a scroll together, that's what it looks like. It says, in every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Yeah, because these different governments are going to be taken out. They're going to lose their power because Yahushua is coming to take them down. That's why he says he's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But America, everything on the shores of America is going to be annihilated. There's not going to be anything left. It's going to be from a mountainous, all type of buildings and everything here, inhabited place is going to be leveled out. It's going to be flat land. It's going to be the forbidden zone. It says, and the kings of the earth and the great men. So the kings of the earth, or the rulers of the earth, which are these international bankers, and the great men, which will represent these rulers, these top rulers, and the rich men. You have your so-called rich men, and the chief captains, which is your military, and the mighty men, which are the military also. These are the heads of the military. These are the regular military men, and every bondman, which slaves, and every freeman hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. This would be your bomb shelters. All right, so you could understand. It says, oops, wrong one. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, because they know that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is coming to destroy them. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Right. So who's going to be able to stand? Well, if you're on the shores of America, no one's going to be able to stand. The elect will be beamed up into Yahushua's chariot, and that's where they're going to be safe at. All right. So going back to Revelation 9 and 20, once that happens, it says, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, the missiles, the lasers from the chariots, the destruction, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, and neither can see nor hear nor walk. No walk. Neither repented they of their murders nor of their sorceries. See, because they've been casting spells, and that's why Donald Trump went into the Capitol to this thing called the. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. The I forget how to say it. Apotheosis, I believe it is like becoming a god. Because you actually have people that are praying to Trump, for him to do things for them. Like that one individual, when the TikTok went down, he was praying to Trump that he would turn TikTok back on. And what did Trump do? He turned it back on, which it was all part of the plan anyway. So they got this guy as a god on the earth. He's like like a god to these people. And he's about to show his horns, really of how much of a God he really is. He's going to show his horns, and he's going to bring hell upon you. You know, this whole thing about the immigrants, you know, coming in here, and him, Donald Trump, invoking the Alien Sedition Act is all, you know, part of the plan, right? So this is the Alien and Sedition Act X, right? Wikipedia. So when we scroll down here, right? Now check this out. The Sedition Act of 1798 was a series of laws passed by the Federalist Congress and signed into law by President Adams. It made it illegal to make false or malicious statements about the federal government. So you see, so this guise of the, you know, the aliens, get them out of here. I'm invoking the 1798 Aliens Act to get these aliens out of here, these illegals. That's all set up to really come against truthers, mainly the Hebrew Israelites. Let's get that, and then we'll come back to that article. And I put that in the description box also. You know, we're heading into some real turbulent times. And only the elect are going to be protected, man. You got guys that are still playing games. You keep playing games, the Lord's going to, you know, show you. So this is 2 Ezra 16 and 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols, right? Because you have these detention centers that were built specifically for these reasons, for this purpose. When you go back during the time of World War II, when the Japanese, and I believe also the Italians, were put in detention centers for a certain period of time. I believe it was like 2 years or something like that. Because of, you know, World War II, they were at war with China. I'm sorry, they were at war with Japan. They were at war with, you know, Italy. So anyone here that was, you know, related to those nations, they were put in those detention centers, and they got them here now. Everything is tying together, man. And then when you watch this devil speaking, you can see right through him. You say, this guy's full of shit. You know, he's a big snake, and that's how the snake does it. Remember, it says the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Never trust thine enemies. You know, but people have been duped by these politicians time and time again. You know, century after century, decade after decade, year after year, and they still believe in this nonsense that they gave them, they sold them this so-called American dream. It says, and they that consent unto them, your sellouts, shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Yeah, because when they don't need you anymore, they discard of you. You know, the scouts of Gad proved that. The sellout scouts, you can watch the movie Geronimo. It shows you, like, when Esau didn't need the scouts, guess what? He threw them right in the res with the rest of the Gadites that they helped take down. They thought they were going to get a place next to Esau, and they got thrown right in there with them, right in the reservation, in the reservations, right along with the other Gadites that they helped conquer. And then the guy had the nerve to say, "You were right to hate the white man." Well, no shit, dude. You know, you were wrong for helping them. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection. That's the time of Jacob's trouble upon those that fear the Lord. So who fears the Lord more than the Israelites? You know? And especially those that are, you know, that know what's really going on. You know, especially the prophets, the teachers, you know, the brothers that's out there on the streets, risking their life and freedom, as the elder Malcolm always says, for this work. You know, that's the biggest problem, the biggest threat. You know, the Spirit had us do a lesson yesterday about that, how they're nervous and they're scared because of this truth. You know, because it's going contrary to their plans. I see the Wisdom of Solomon 3 or 2 or one of those where it speaks about that, you know, they let us examine him to see if he really is the Son of the Most High, and this, that, and the other. So that time is coming, a great time of testing. You know, the great time of truth. Going to sell out because they're not going to want to suffer. A lot of people are going to take the MOTB, which is the micro C hip, including those that know that they're Israelites, because they're not going to want to suffer persecution with the people of the Lord. But remember Moses, he rather suffer with Israel than to enjoy the riches of sin for a season, because all this shit is going to perish. Everything that we see happening right now is leading up to the destruction of this man. So it must needs be that Jacob's trouble is fulfilled, because that's the only way the Lord will step in to deliver us. Remember, it says when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. So they have to do what they got to do, because the Lord's going to make them do it so that he can come and deliver us. So all these things have to happen, and they are happening to a certain degree. We're at the beginning stages of all of this. January has been a hell of a run already so far. And although nothing happened at the inauguration, or although nothing really happened, it did happen. A lot did happen. You had a lot of witches and warlocks that were there. All those rabbis and clergymen that were up there praying, they were praying to Satan. They were quoting a lot of good scriptures, yeah, but they were praying to Satan. And I kept saying that on the way here, because we're in Atlanta. We just stopped through to see the brothers before we go to Dallas. So on the way here, Elder Dimash and myself, we were watching. We did a lesson and we were watching the inauguration or inaugural speech, and I kept saying, yeah, they praying to Satan. They praying to Satan, and I didn't know until later, because it was also playing on redacted. I didn't know till later that Trump didn't actually put his hand on the Bible. And then he came out later and said, won't you Christians vote for me? You just have to do it one time. I promise you. I'm not Christian. He just quickly threw that in there. So hey, man, let's see. Let's go, Joe. It's about that time anyway. It says they shall be like madmen, sparing none. That's your militaries. And now, as we're seeing, these devils, are coming out with this AI, and these robotic soldiers. And then Elder Dimash made an interesting point. He said, well, notice that Trump was getting on the so-called illegal immigrants are from South America, Central America, Mexico, and all that. But never once did he mention any of the Hamites that came to this country, any of the Ishmaelites, or any of the Elamites, or the men of other nations that came here. It was just all about, the Israelites down in Mexico, Central America, and South America. He didn't mention anything about the so-called Chinese, that were coming here, the so-called Africans, and you had Elamites and Ishmaelites. He wasn't mentioning nothing about them. It's all about forget the name of the gang. I think it's El Salvadorian gang, Venezuelan gangs, and all that. He didn't mention anything about those military age men that were coming across the border from those other countries. Why? Because the insurrection it's going to be upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Right. And right now, according to Trump, today was going to be the first day of the gathering of all these so-called illegal immigrants, which means there's going to be boots on the ground, militaries all over these different cities in Chicago, New York, so on and so forth, gathering up. And who knows who the hell they're going to grab up. You could have a citizen, an Ephraimite or Simeonite, or somebody that's an actual citizen, and they could just grab them up. Light-skinned Jakes, that look like the Latin tribes. They can grab anybody up and send them, back down there. But before that, put you in, in these detention centers. Remember, they've been pushing for this digital ID. They've been pushing for, if you want to really be an American, you got to get, be able to be tracked at all times. These devils got to get the market cornered, as they say. But it's the spirit that the Lord gave them to be subtle in that fashion. So it said, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Right. These individuals that own their homes, you jakes, you ain't gonna have that home for long. Because there's provisions within the Constitution, I believe it is, that if the military needs your home, needs your goods, your vehicles, anything that you have, food, all that, they can come in and take it. And then there's executive orders on the books that say that they can march the American public into to make them slaves, pretty much. They can come and confiscate all your vehicles, your community, telecommunication, electricity, all of that, your water. They can come and take everything from you. And then Trump, like Richie from Boston was saying, that he pretty much said, declared a state of emergency to do this. And like he said, that's the last thing you want to do as a president, because that's like the last resort, to call for a national emergency. Because you're supposed to be the president, you're supposed to so-called have everything in order. It says, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, right? Because this is the last hurrah. This right here, this is the last hurrah, man. After this, it's over. This is the last stretch, the last lap. This is what separates the regular contender from the champions. This is where the rubber meets the pavement, as I said. This is where the metal is tested. We're going to see, the elect are going to make it through regardless, because the Lord's going to put a spirit in them. So no matter what they go through, no matter what they suffer, just to persevere. So Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Shai for that. It says, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Yeah. That's right. So this Sedition Act is a guise to really attack freedom of speech, because it's not just a Sedition Act, it's an Alien Sedition Act. So the Sedition Act of 1798 was a series of laws passed by the Federalist Congress and signed into law by President Adams. It made it illegal to make false or malicious statements about the federal government, and was used to suppress speech critical of Adams' administration. Right? It says the act violated the Constitution's guarantee of freedom of speech. But then Trump said he's going to bring back freedom of speech. So why is he invoking an act that can steal away your rights, your freedom of speech? Because truth is a problem. In the time of universal deceit, telling the truth is considered a universal act, or something along those lines, as the saying goes. The Alien Act, also part of this legislation, granted the president's authority to deport non-citizens. See, so he's with a stroke of a pen, he can get both of these things accomplished, and that's what they want to do. And then he was sworn into office in this thing here in the Capitol, apotheosis of Washington, where you had Washington in the middle. He was surrounded by the pantheon, so-called pantheon, two so-called goddesses next to him, and all around that rotunda they had different images of the different gods, Neptune and so on and so forth, Minerva and all of that. All right, so if you get a chance, if you're interested, you can watch this. You can also read Isaiah, the 47th chapter, which goes into their sorceries and enchantments, and that's pretty much, that's what it is. It was an invocation or an incantation, to anoint the new demon Trump, to office, so that he can pretty much carry out the rest of the plans or the agenda of the so-called elite. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say Shalom. Oh yeah, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, the George Orwell, which really wasn't George Orwell that did it. it was somebody else, but they just attributed it to George Orwell. Shalom.